Hello all. So in this tutorial we will be seeing information related to how to see user details in the Linux systems, right? So generally what happens is Linux are used in the server architecture, and multiple times what will be happening is there will be more than one user who will be accessing the Linux server. So suppose if there is certain application, then what can happen is more than one users might be accessing that application, and each user will have their user account on the system, right? So Linux provides a certain commands using which we can identify like which user is logged in, and what are the user details on the system, something of that sort, right? So we'll see what are those commands in today's video. Those commands are useful if you want to see the users details. Now let's first go to the terminal. So I'll type here, this is my home Linux instance. So if I go to this terminal, now here I can see currently I have landed as a Linux user, and my current working directory is home/Linux. Right, now let's try to use this command. First command is who am I, right? So this will show me the system's username. So I have currently logged in as a Linux user. So as the system's username, it is showing me Linux. Now let's see, the next command is who command. This command will provide us details related to who has currently logged in on the system. So I have logged in as a Linux user, and this is the details which are available. Now next command is w command, which will be giving us information about what all users are currently logged in and what exactly activities which they are performing, right? So here we can see currently I have logged in as a Linux user, then it has given us a time of login, it is giving me the CPU session, and it is giving me the activity which I am performing. So this is one of the useful command. Another command is id, so which will be telling us related to our user id, primary group id. So user id is 1000, primary group id is again 1000. So it is giving me all the list of groups, etc. So id command is also useful. Now suppose if you want to see the user details, right, those will be always present in the home directory. So currently I'm in home Linux folder, so let me go back to one directory, and now I'm in home directory. If I do ls, it will give me details of the Linux, all the users. So one of the user is Linux, another user is test user, right? Suppose now if I want to log in as a test user, so what I can do, I can do su, that is super user, and I'll type the username as test user, right? Now it will ask me the password. Now this is my home system, so I already know the password for test user, so I'll type it. Once I type it password, I will log in as a test user. So one thing we can observe here is now this username has changed. Like earlier it was Linux, but now I am logged in as a test user. So I can see now it is visible as a test user. Now let's repeat all those commands. Let's see first who am I. So this is showing me now test user because I have logged in as test user. Right, now let's see who. Again this is the Linux because this is giving me system's username. So though I have logged in as a test user, the system's username is a Linux. So it is still showing this a Linux. Now let's see W. So now here again it is system's username. So it is giving me the information of my user because I am kind of a pseudo user as a test user, but my proper username is Linux only, so it is showing me these details. Now if I type id, here I can see test user details, so it is showing me the user id, group id. We can see the user id and group id are different for test user than that of the Linux user. I'll show you how to create a new user. So one of the way is used to create using a GUI. In next video I will show you how to create it using CLI, and in this video we can see how to create it using a GUI. So here we can see in the there are only two users. Now let's go back to the GUI. Here I will search for say users. So now I can go to users and groups, and here we can see there are already two users available, and simply I have to click on the add. So if I click on add, it is asking me the authentication password for the system. because this is administration work, right? So I have to give the administrator password. So I know the password, so I'll give that. So authenticated. Now it is asking me the new username. So we'll give some simple name, test user 2, right? So this is the username and that is the login name which will be used. So I'll click on OK. Now so it is asking me the password. Now either we can generate the random password or we can give some password. So let's give a simple password, test user 2. Yeah, right. Now I have given a password. I will save it now. Okay. Now here you can see the test user 2 is added, right? Now let's go back to our CLI, and so there are other options. So account type is custom. So yeah, so we can decide which type of account this user would need to have. So he can be custom user. So we can define the settings manually. Now there is another user type which can be administrator, so he will have all the administrator rights, or it can be desktop user. So we will keep it as custom as of now and we won't change it. Password will be used when the when user tries to log in, right? So that also we will keep it as it is. Now let's close this and let's go back to now our CLI. Here we can see earlier there are only 2 users available. Now let us do ls, and here we can see now test user 2 is also available. Now this is the way we can create the test user. Now suppose if I do test user sudo, right, test user 2, it will ask password, right? Now I'll give the password. Yes, now here we can see now we have logged in as a test user 2, right? So this is the way we can create user via GUI in Linux systems, right? So multiple times you won't need to do this because Linux systems, whenever it is server, it is accessed mostly via CLI, right? So in very rare cases only you will be accessing it via GUI, right? But it's good to know how to create this user in Linux system using GUI. So this was a brief video related to the user creation. Thank you.